Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estés. Have you ever wondered why some women seem to have such a strong sense of intuition and a deep connection with their instinctual nature? Women Who Run with the Wolves explores fairy tales and ancient myths to show us how women can reconnect with their wild essence and tap into the power that comes with this connection. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? There's nothing better than a like to brighten a content creator's day. Don't be selfish. Share our channel with your friends so they can also learn new things. You don't have to be ashamed. Everyone has done it at least once in their life. So subscribe, like, and share our channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? There's nothing better than a like to brighten a content creator's day. Don't be selfish. Share our channel with your friends so they can also learn new things. You don't have to be ashamed. Everyone has done it at least once in their life. So subscribe, like, and share our channel. Female intuition. Women have a unique ability to intuit, a form of knowledge that comes from the heart and body, not just the mind. The story of Bluebeard illustrates how intuition can save women from dangerous situations. In the tale, the main character is warned by her dreams not to open a forbidden door, but her curiosity gets the best of her, and she discovers terrible secrets that nearly lead her to her death. The story shows how women can trust their intuition and dreams to avoid danger and follow the right path. Importance of instinct. The importance of instinct for women. Women often repress their instincts in favor of what society expects of them, but this can lead to a sense of losing oneself. In the tale, The She-Wolf and the Fox, the main character learns to listen to her instincts and follow her own path, even if it means breaking society's expectations. The story shows how women can honor their instincts and find their true voice. Need to honor the cycles of life. Women are cyclical creatures who need to honor the natural cycles of life, including menstruation, pregnancy, childbirth, and menopause. In the tale, The Old Rose, the main character is an older woman who has been discarded by society because of her age. However, she finds a new life and purpose when she starts to cultivate an old rose, which goes through cycles of life, death, and rebirth. The story shows how women can find beauty and meaning in all cycles of life, including those that society tends to despise. Pursuit of freedom. The importance of freedom for women and how they are often trapped in roles that are not true to themselves. In the tale, The Dancing Princesses, the main character is forced to dance until her feet bleed, symbolizing the oppression that women often face in their lives. However, she finally finds her freedom when she escapes that situation and dances on her own will. The story shows how women can fight for their freedom and find their true voice, even when facing opposition. The book is divided into 3 parts, each exploring different themes. Part 1 explains how the instinctual feminine nature has been suppressed and denied by patriarchal culture. Estés uses fairy tales and ancient myths to show how women can reclaim their wild nature, symbolized by the figure of the wolf. She explains how instinct, intuition, and imagination are fundamental elements for women to reconnect with their instinctual nature. Part 2 explores the idea that women need to break free from the roles imposed by society and learn to follow their own intuition and instinct. Estés uses fairy tales and ancient myths to show how women can honor their cyclical nature and find freedom and power in their lives. She explains how women can learn to see in depth, recognize patterns in their lives, and discover their true identity. Part 3 shows how women can find healing and connection through connection with other women and with nature. Estés uses fairy tales and ancient myths to show how women can support each other, overcome traumas, and find their voice. She explains how women can learn to honor life and death, find meaning in all cycles of life, and find a sense of community and belonging. Overall, Women Who Run with the Wolves is a powerful and empowering book that encourages women to reclaim their true nature, embrace their instincts and intuition, and find freedom, power, and connection in their lives. The book provides a unique perspective on the female psyche and offers practical tools for women to tap into their inner wisdom and strength. Women can reclaim their wild nature and reconnect with their instinctual essence through the rescue of fairy tales and ancient myths that portray women as powerful and resilient figures. An example of this is the tale of Little Red Riding Hood, in which the figure of the wolf represents the feminine, wild, and instinctual nature. In the original story, Little Red Riding Hood is devoured by the wolf, symbolizing the loss of her instinctual nature. The protagonist is able to free herself from the wolf's belly, symbolizing the reconnection with her instinctual nature and the rediscovery of her inner power. Another example is the myth of Inanna, a Sumerian goddess who represents the feminine cyclical nature. In the story, Inanna descends to the underworld and faces a series of trials to reconnect with her deepest essence. The myth represents the idea that women need to descend descend into the depths of themselves to find their true instinctual nature and reconnect with their inner strength. In summary, patriarchal culture has repressed and denied the feminine instinctual nature in various ways, but women can reclaim this essence through the rescue of fairy tales and ancient myths that portray the figure of the wolf as a representation of the feminine wild nature. Instinct, intuition, and imagination are fundamental elements for women to reconnect with their instinctual nature and find power and freedom in their lives. Women need to free themselves from the roles and expectations imposed by society and learn to follow their own intuition and instinct, as these elements are fundamental to reconnect with their instinctual nature. When women free themselves from these imposed roles, they can find freedom and power in their lives, as well as discover their true identity. An example of how women can honor their cyclical nature and find freedom and power in their lives is the fairy tale, The Old Rose. In this story, the main character is an older woman who has been discarded by society because of her age. However, she finds a new life and purpose when she begins to cultivate an old rose, which goes through cycles of life, death, and rebirth. The story shows how women can find beauty and meaning in all cycles of life, including those that society tends to disregard. Another example is the tale of Skeleton Woman, which shows how women can break free from the patterns and expectations imposed by society and discover their true identity. In the story, the main character is abandoned by her family and forced to live alone. However, she finds freedom and power by reconnecting with her true essence and discovering her own identity. To learn to see in depth and recognize the patterns in their lives, women can be inspired by the myth of Demeter and Persephone. In the story, Demeter is the goddess of fertility, and Persephone is her daughter, who is abducted by Hades and taken to the underworld. Demeter, who symbolizes the mother who has lost her daughter, enters into deep mourning and makes the earth barren. However, with the help of other goddesses, she is able to rescue her daughter and bring life back to the earth. The story shows how women can recognize the patterns in their lives and find a new life even after traumatic experiences. Women need to free themselves from the roles imposed by society and follow their own intuition and instinct to reconnect with their instinctual nature and find freedom and power in their lives. Fairy tales and ancient myths offer inspiring examples of how women can honor their cyclical nature and discover their true identity, and how they can learn to see in depth and recognize the patterns in their lives to find a new life even after traumatic experiences. Women can find healing and connection through connecting with other women and with nature, as it helps them to reconnect with their instinctive essence and find a sense of community and belonging. Fairy tales and ancient myths offer inspiring examples of how women can support each other, overcome trauma, and find their voice. One example of how women can support each other is the fairy tale, The Little Match Girl. In the story, the protagonist is a poor girl who sells matches on the street during the winter. She is ignored and mistreated by the people around her, but finds comfort and support in a vision of her deceased grandmother. The story shows how women can support each other, even when they are in difficult situations. Another example is the myth of Goddess Artemis, who represents the wild feminine nature. Artemis is a goddess of hunting and nature who values freedom and independence. She is often associated with groups of women who come together to hunt and support each other. The myth shows how women can find strength and connection through nature and their relationships with other women. To learn to honor life and death and find meaning in all cycles of life, women can be inspired by the tale of Sleeping Beauty. In the story, the princess is cursed by an evil fairy and falls into a deep sleep for 100 years. However, she is awakened by a prince who kisses her and saves her. The story symbolizes the idea that women need to go through cycles of death and rebirth to find their true identity and purpose. Additionally, the tale shows how women can find a sense of community and belonging through their romantic and familial relationships. In summary, women can find healing and connection through connecting with other women and with nature, which helps them to reconnect with their instinctive essence and find a sense of community and belonging. Fairy tales and ancient myths offer inspiring examples of how women can support each other, overcome trauma, and find their voice, as well as learn to honor life and death, find meaning in all cycles of life, and find a sense of community and belonging. We are here to help you with your personal development, whether it's by listening to something that generates knowledge while you sleep, or exercising your mind at the gym by reflecting on factors that lead to improvements in your life. Subscribe to our channel and have access to book summaries with exclusive and informative content. Leave a like. It's the easiest and fastest way to show us that we're on the right track and motivate us to produce more content.